Hello, everyone, and welcome to Branded. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand. Today, I want to talk about some of those hard days that we have just as business owners. Of course, it happens probably more frequently than we talk about. And of course, just as humans, like we're living life, and not every day is sunshine and rainbows and all the good stuff. Some days just really fucking suck. And I want to talk about that because I know sometimes if you guys are regulars on this podcast, you probably have recognized I don't talk about some of the bad days as frequently as I talk about the good days. But honestly, it's because I don't have as many bad days as I used to have, and I want to talk about why that might be. So recently, I had a really bad day. This was a couple weeks ago from like the time of me recording this right now, but I was thinking about my bad day, like towards the end of it, and really just like in the shower, letting my brain just completely decompress and giving myself permission to just stop thinking about stuff. Stop thinking about my business, stop thinking about what I was going to make for dinner, stop thinking about how I need to go grocery shopping, stop thinking about whatever bills I need to pay. I gave myself permission to just fucking take a break. And in that moment, was when this sort of clarity came in, and it was like, this bad day is something that I've been leaning into all day today, trying to figure out how to get rid of it. But instead of trying to get rid of the bad day, maybe I should just embrace it. Maybe I should just have a bad day and set myself up for a really good day tomorrow. And this isn't usually how I think about my bad days. Usually I'm like resisting the bad day all day long, right? You're trying to do anything you can to reverse, to make yourself feel better, to do something that's just going to like switch up your energy and change everything. Sometimes that happens, but some days you're just stuck. You're stuck in this like weird space, this energetic like limbo, and maybe you don't know what to do with yourself. So I'm going to give you a little bit of suggestions on how I sort of got through my bad day and how I maybe have a few less of them. So when I had my bad day recently, I actually decided to do a little bit of journaling later in the day after my quote unquote bad day had kind of ended. I sort of felt this heaviness just disappear. And I was like, okay, cool. I think I'm done having this bad day. Let me go and reflect on it for a minute. So maybe tomorrow I can just like fucking crush it. Right? So when I was having my bad day, I actually decided to open up the notes on my phone. And this is something I've been doing for almost every day since then, is I've been journaling about my days. And so I've not just been talking about the bad stuff or the stuff that's making me feel like, ugh, not so great. I've been talking about the good stuff too, because I think that this can be a really powerful tool that I can come back to, and it can actually help me outline how, like, when my most productive moments actually happen, and if there's a pattern. That's the thing with this kind of journaling, is you'll start to discover that there's a pattern. Like maybe every time you get your period, right, ladies? Maybe that's when your bad days start to rear their ugly heads. And so you can kind of tie two and two together. Now, I know some people think that is total BS, that, running your business around your cycle. I'm not saying do that. I don't do that. But recognizing that if I'm at my like shittiest mood around my cycle, okay, well, then maybe I don't book an interview. Maybe I don't book one-on-one client stuff. Maybe I keep to myself and I do a little bit of design work, right? Like understanding this pattern can then help me become more productive, more creative, more connected, right? It's only going to produce good things. So instead of feeling like, ugh, I'm having such a fucking bad day, and just focusing on that, instead, maybe be curious about where in your body you feel like you're having a bad day, because it's not always in the same place, right? Is it in your heart? Is it in your head? Is it in your body? Is it your soul? Is it your energy? Like, what is happening right now? And where are you feeling this sort of tension, this heaviness, and this quote unquote bad day? For me, I was feeling it like in my head and in my heart. So I knew it was sort of an energetic stuckness that I was feeling. It wasn't necessarily a physical stuckness, like I wasn't having aches and pains in my body, but that didn't stop me from going for a walk because obviously sitting in front of the computer was not, I wasn't productive. I was feeling really drained. Everything I was producing, I just wasn't loving. So it's like, why would I sit there and just spin the wheels and waste my time, right? So go for a walk, move around a little bit, go do a little workout, go to the grocery store, go to a shop, right? Like a local boutique. And maybe you tell yourself, I'm not really going to buy anything, but I just need to like get out of the house and walk around. So whatever that is for you, but be really curious. Where in your body are you feeling this bad day coming up for you? Because it might just be something that you just kind of lean into, give it the space to actually experience itself, have that bad day and be okay with it. Because when you allow one bad day to fully run its course, at least in my experience, it sets me up for a really good day the next day. Because I found that when I'm resisting a bad day, it just continues into day 2, day 3. Never do I want that. That is like, I can't stay stuck in that. I don't have like the mental energy to stay stuck and to stay sad and depressed. It's just not something that I can wrap my head around. And I don't want one bad day to turn into 2. I'm sure you don't either, right? So be curious. And sometimes something I want to kind of mention when it comes to being curious about where you're feeling this, like in your body, heart, head, body, soul, whatever, right? Where you're feeling it, it's probably a combination of a couple things: responsibilities, obligations, deadlines. So running through a list of what do you really have going on in your life right now that is putting this pressure on you and making you feel this way, and then deciding, okay, is there anything I can do about it today? With this particular energy I've got right now, can I check any of these things off of the list? Are they do or die? Like, does it absolutely have to happen today? If it doesn't, schedule things in for the rest of the week and make sure you get to the things that you want to achieve, but give yourself grace. It doesn't have to happen all in one day, and it definitely doesn't have to happen when you're not 100% feeling it. And I know that this is like a concept that personally it is relatively new for me, especially coming from the corporate world where, you show up every day and you just have tasks that you have to do. It's just like it's on your plate regardless of how you're feeling about it. When you have your own business, you really have this autonomy to decide for yourself, is this a thing that I need to be doing today? Or is it actually going to be better served if I do it tomorrow when I am fully at my best? And you have to really be very disciplined with understanding how you're feeling and how that translates into your productivity when you own your own business. Because it can be very easy to just sit on the couch and do nothing. And then one bad day turns into like 12. And then you're like, well, fuck, what am I doing? I've got clients knocking down my door asking for product or, deliverables. What's happening? Never do I ever get to that point. So I let myself have that bad day. Because if I let the bad day run its course, typically I'm ready to crush it on day 2 because I feel renewed and I actually gave myself the time and space to recharge, to take a long shower, to go for that walk. I've not been in the grind. And typically what I've come to start to recognize is when I'm having these bad days, I have one at least once a month. Let me just be clear about that. I've got a bad day at least once a month at this point. Sometimes it's more regular. It really just depends what kind of responsibilities are on my plate at that time. But you're not alone when you're having these bad days. And asking myself, what can I do to shift this? What can I do to feel better? Like, what's something that typically always makes me feel better? And really getting, like, exploring that space and allowing myself to say, like, maybe today's just not a work day, even if it is a Tuesday. But how can I then weave those responsibilities that I should be doing today into my Wednesday, my Thursday, my Friday? And being very aware and mindful of the fact that, your one bad day, it doesn't have to really compound into more. It can just be that one day. And maybe it's once a month, and that's just what it is. So the point is, you're having a bad day. Allow it to run its course, fizzle it out. It'll fizzle out just in time for you to fucking crush it tomorrow. Like, that's been my experience at least. And whatever those things are that make you feel better, like if it is go for a walk, that's one of my go-tos. Go do it. Even if it's chilly outside or if it's raining, maybe not torrential rains, but dress appropriately and just go do it. And it doesn't have to be a long walk. It doesn't have to be a jog. It can be something leisurely. Throw in like some earbuds and listen to a podcast or an Audible, something that's going to make you feel good. Now, I do want to mention on my bad day, something that I usually turn to is an Audible of some sort of like business type book, something that when I listen to it, I immediately am thinking about ideas for my own business. I actually decided to not do that when I was having a bad day recently because I did not want to think about my business. I didn't want my brain go, go, go. I wanted it to just chill the fuck out. And so instead, I grabbed a fiction book, a book that I haven't touched in years. I started reading. I opened it up and I saw that I had dog-eared like 110 pages in and never picked it up. And I don't think I've touched that book in like 5 years because I've only been reading sort of business building books. But I recognized in myself that I was getting a little fatigued from reading business building books because I never just read it and take on the information. I'm always applying the information, which is, takes energy, takes action. And I didn't want to have to take action. I wanted to just read and absorb. And so recognizing those things about yourself, if you need to journal, if you want to read, if you want to go for a walk, if you want to cook something, and honestly, talking about it, talking about your bad day is one of the fastest ways to release yourself of that energy. So after I'd spent the majority of my day trying to feel better for myself and not asking for any help from anybody else, I was starting to recognize I really just needed to talk to somebody about it. And so I asked Adam, my hubby, if you guys don't know, I was like, hey babe, can I talk to you about like the things that I'm feeling? I know that you can tell that I am not in a good space right now, and I just want to talk to somebody about it. And he was like, yeah, sure. Of course, I wasn't asking for his opinion. I didn't really need any of his advice. I just needed somebody to listen, and almost immediately I was feeling better. So get somebody that can listen to you. Call up a friend, text a friend, like whatever. Just brain dump, journal your thoughts, whatever you can do to get all of this messy shit that gets stuck up in your head, get it out. That's the only way you're going to clear the space and really give yourself a moment to breathe. So my particular bad day, the one that I'm sharing with you guys right now, it lasted from about, I would say 8 a.m. because I get up around 7:38 every day. And I immediately felt like garbage when I got out of bed. I was like, fuck this day. I don't want anything to do with it. It was just one of those days, you get up on the wrong side of the bed, I guess, right? That's the phrase. So immediately when I was awake, I'm like, nah, fuck it. I don't want to do anything today. And that lasted until about 4:30, 5 o'clock that evening. But I recognized the moment that heaviness was sort of just done. It wasn't there anymore. It was around that 5 o'clock hour. And I thought to myself, holy shit, I just let myself have a bad day. And it actually turned out to be kind of a good day, which is crazy. It's not something you actually think of when you wake up feeling like total dog shit. And you're just like, I don't want anything to do with this day. And then by the end of the day, because you leaned into and got curious about why you were feeling so gross and like you didn't want to do anything. Instead, I actually ended up having a really good day. I got to go for a walk. I read a fiction book that I haven't picked up in like 5 years and started rereading. Like I started from the beginning, right? I ended up sitting out in the sunshine for 15, 20 minutes, just with my eyes closed, letting the sun just soak into my skin. I took a really long shower. And yeah, I still got work done that day. Not as much as I would have had I been like firing on all cylinders. But instead of feeling guilty about that, I would just sort of recognize, like, wow, I ended up doing things today that I actually haven't given myself the time to do in the last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or more because I've been so busy. So I was almost grateful for that bad day because that bad day forced me to take the time that was needed for my brain, my heart, my body, my soul to just hit the reset button so I could crush it the next day and be super, super productive and plugged in the next day. So I want you to think about this. The next time you're having a bad day, lean into it, right? No one is exempt from having these bad days. Like you're going to have them. So just embrace it and become more aware of how you can actually navigate through it, because what starts as a bad day could either become multiple bad days or it could actually turn into a pretty fucking good day. It really depends how you approach it, how you see it, and navigate your way through it. So instead of like only ever recognizing, when you get up and you're not feeling great, like, I'm having such a bad day. Instead, recognize it. Okay, I feel like shit today. So, what's things that usually make me feel better? Ask yourself that and then see what happens. Because your bad day may very well turn into a really fucking good day. And if you want to take this a step further, like I mentioned at the very beginning, use your phone, use pen and paper, right? Whatever. But if you start actually making note of when you're having these bad days, and I would also encourage you to actually kind of make note of when you're having really amazing days too, because you'll start to recognize some patterns probably. So for me, let's see, it was early in the month of February. So at the time of this recording, we're like mid-month right now. So early in the month of February, and this is, I'll read you my entry because it doesn't have to be super complicated, super detailed, none of that. It's just something I want to be able to come back to and see if I recognize a pattern when it happens again, because I know it will. So I wrote, feeling low energy, no motivation to talk or care about much. Went for a walk, felt a little better. Sat outside, read a fiction book for about an hour. I dozed off for about 15 minutes, I think. It felt nice to sit in the sunshine. I felt a little better, but still needed to talk to someone. So I talked to Adam about how my day was really tough. He was being really amazing and listened. That's all I wrote. And then the very next day, because like I said, if you just let that bad day fizzle out, you're going to fucking crush it the next day. So the very next day, I decided I'm going to write an entry in this day too, because maybe I'll still be feeling a little funky. So the next day, woke up in a great mood, took a shower, went to get my hair trimmed, spent the rest of the afternoon writing emails for myself and for clients. Then I spent time working on a client logo. Like I had the energy to be creative. I had the energy to go do something for myself. I had the energy to do some client work, and it was a really good day. And then I noticed that the next couple days that I did my little entries, I felt really good and I had really productive days. So having one day out of, let's say, a 30-day month, that's not too shabby. No one's exempt from these bad days. And if you know you're going to have one, kind of be prepared for it and let yourself be curious during that bad day. And if you have kids, I know it's really hard because you're kind of at the mercy of, so many other people and what they need. But I think just asking yourself, okay, I'm feeling really shitty today. What's something that usually makes me feel better? And then go do it. So I hope that this was helpful for somebody, because maybe today's your bad day. And you know what? That's okay. let it fizzle out. Lean in, let it run its course, because tomorrow you're going to fucking crush it. So I'll see you on the next episode. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.